Hello, welcome to the We in Wellness Conversations and Meditations with Dr. K. I'm going to talk about One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest at the Old Vic, starring Aaron Pierre and Giles Terrera, directed by Clint Dyer. Okay, I saw it a couple days ago. I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. As I have seen this work discussed, so many creators have said Aaron Pierre was beautiful. Who knew he could act? Or the eye candy was everything, and the play was also quite good. I went for this, I got that. Um, I went for all of it, and I got all of it. I got more than I expected. Um, I'm a licensed professional clinical counselor. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I run retreats. I specialize in guiding people into themselves and back out with a lot more knowledge. That's also exactly what the play does. That's what the main character is doing. He sees everybody immediately, even though he is the center of attention. Um, and he clocks everyone without judging them, which is a very difficult thing to do because when people step into their awareness of what others are doing, a lot of times they do that to keep themselves safe. They go, okay, I see, I see what you're doing over there. You're different than me. And I am going to pull back. Whole time, Randall P. McMurphy is leaning in. More importantly, what's actually happening in the work, because he used that physicality to forward the narrative, and I haven't heard people talk about that piece of it. So I'll start there, since I'm imagining that most people who clicked on this are here for the beauty discourse. He flirts with the audience, which is quite fun. But it's done in a way to explain that someone can have more complexity than what they are originally presented as to you. So for those who don't know, it is a novel, and it was a famous movie in the 70s about that launched a few careers, I will say. Um, it was supposed to be James Caan and being Jack Nicholson, yada yada yada. Okay, so that gets interpreted very differently because Jack Nicholson's a very different type of entity to look upon. I will say it's referenced slightly in wardrobe, but beyond that, we're dealing with a completely different thing, which is what is it to see Black and Indigenous bodies that are being institutionally harmed while everyone is telling you that the institution is doing the correct thing? Uh, yeah. So the way that he uses his physicality to forward that is you expect him to just continually be playful and a bit brutish, to not have depth in his character, to not emotionally go anywhere. But very quickly you realize that he is a champion for all of the others because he can't understand why they're being held down by the system. But all of that is about how being perceived as something isn't necessarily how you are. And all of the characters are doing that. They're mirroring each other. So who I actually identified with the most, I didn't expect to, because in the film, I did not identify with any of them. Yeah. Um, but the character of Dale Harding, played by Giles Terrera, he's the leader. So people who know me will understand why I'm saying this. He is a leader who leads from the background. He's more comfortable in a system that he can predict, even though it is much to his detriment, because he feels safe enough in that to step into the power that he does have. that comes up against Aaron Pierre's character, who is far more boisterous and charming and outward and loves so hard and so honestly. Um, and while the centering of the relationship between, oh my God, the indigenous character, hold on a second, y'all, played by Arthur Bone, Chief. Yeah, they call him Chief throughout most of it, even though I think he has another name. But um, their brotherhood gets centered in the narrative. That's what most people talk about. But I think that Dale and Randall's relationship is stunning because they were able to recognize each other and defer to each other, even though they had completely different styles, and then do their best to support each other, which they end up doing in an unconventional way because of where the narrative takes you. Because it was such a beautiful example of men who figure out how to love men. And I don't think our society does that very well. And if you want to look at it a little broader, it is also people who know how to love others who are different from themselves by choosing to see the similarities. Um, and that's a huge part of the work that I do, which is why I identified with Dale because he thought he knew, and then someone came in and showed him a different way of navigating things, and he blossomed and he grew, and he realized that he can not just tolerate but love. Um, there's so many themes in this thing, y'all. Uh, Chief and Mac and Randall. To convey a relationship that is silent on one side because Chief doesn't speak for yeah, Chief doesn't speak. Um, and to be seen and witnessed even without using your voice. To have someone who wants you to who sees your whole self and is like, I'm gonna make you big because I know that you can be. That is what mental health professionals should be doing. It's also what all of our communities should be doing. I'm very aware that I have the job that I do because our communities don't do it. Kind of wish we live in a different world, but here we are. Um, being able to witness someone, I think, is one of the greatest forms of love, and to tell them makes it far more impactful. He definitely came with flaws. It's in the original text. And they also didn't soften it in this production, which was surprising a bit, but I appreciated it because he saw himself and owned it, which is what allowed him to see others and guide them into knowing themselves. It managed to be extremely funny. I was not expecting that. So that is where Aaron Pierre surprised me. Didn't expect him to be funny. Funny is really, really hard. Um, I was there for the drama though, and the range of that work to go from being so boisterous and making everyone laugh to coming into a groundedness. Uh, I mean, it requires grounding the entire time, but it was beautiful to witness. Now, let me get into some of the other characters because Giles Terrera, who played Dale Harding, and Arthur Bowen played Chief, and Kadar Sterling, William Sterling played Billy. Um, all amazing. Uh, and they did it justice. Like the moment when Billy stops stuttering because he's had a profound experience, um, where he's literally come into his manhood. Um, if you're into that interpretation. Uh, but he does come into himself. He makes a choice and he does something he's always wanted to do. And you see him settle. And then there's a woman who's in a position of power who takes it all away from him, which is a huge catalyst for what happens in this third act. Um, Seeing all of those men, black men, indigenous men, witness her do that to them after they fought through so much. I mean, it was very salient. Um, and while it's very easy for me to put that on white women and like a white woman's tears because that is literally what's happening. And that is, the fragility of that, all of that weaponizing is a thing. And it gets done to a lot of different groups from white women in that specific way. But because of the way that women are represented throughout the entire narrative, I'm going to say it. I've seen a lot of women who are guilty of it, regardless of their race. And I think that the play was about brotherhood and it was about men who know how to love men. And we could all learn something from that. Woof. I feel like people are going to cancel me for saying that, but I have nothing to cancel. We're fine. Um, but that is a really hard narrative to want to put out right now. And they did it and they did it masterfully. And I do not feel slighted in any way having witnessed it because it is men who know how to love men who are really going to change the world. Women have been figuring out how to love women and love men and love children for millennia. A lot of us get it right. Some of us get so jaded that we're reverting back to be like, you know what? All men are trash. And so they took a bunch of men who have something altered and could easily be discarded by society, and they started loving each other. And that is what needed to expand and go out and get broadened into the society of the insane asylum. And it didn't happen, and there's tragedy. But uh, I look forward to the day when we're not judging people for their difference, when we just go, oh, they're quirky and they're different, and that is how they coped through something. And I love that for them, and I love them. And we center on giving people their humanity and their ability to grow, their ability to love, and their ability to be whole, regardless of what they think is missing. And so I'm actually about to start work again today after having traveled through Europe. I'm back into my time zone. So I needed to get that out before I could like center into doing the work that I do, um, which is very, very similar to the work the play was doing. And it's really nice to feel art that sees the people that I work with, and that means that it also sees me. So thank you to Clint Dyer, who directed this. Thank you to Aaron Pierre. Thank you to Giles Terrera, the entire cast, the crew. And I want to see it again. I'm really sad I didn't go twice. Okay, and one more association that I wanted to make is on the flight over and throughout my journey in London, I was listening to a lot of Duran Bernard. Okay. The new album has this song called Am I Okay? And it opens, am I gonna get this right? Uh, for, a- for, I might misquote this slightly, but it's like for a small piece of your time, I'll pay a fee just to sit here on your couch and bare my soul. But this particular song is obviously about trying to figure out the balance of who am I? Something has changed. Am I okay now? I'm looking at what's going on in the world. I feel unsettled in relationship to that. I'm I'm gonna actually go to therapy to sort this out and figure out if it's me that's wrong. And I'm bringing that up in the context of this play because there are characters who have chosen to resign themselves to be committed. They're there voluntarily. And it's a big point of tension in the play uh, because there are characters who are forced to be there. And none of them benefit from the system that is the asylum. And I'm saying that as I don't work at a in care facility, but and there are people who would benefit in that, but in this play, no one benefits from that system, but they deeply benefit from being with each other. And they figure that out eventually, and they're grateful and they're glad for it. But the work that I do is I just tell people they're okay, because that is the answer. It's a lot of what was happening in the play is Aaron Pierre's character going, all of this is bull. And then that gets mirrored in Giles' character. He's like, all of this is bull. I can see it. And I very willingly stepped into this. But it's a metaphor for society. It's not a metaphor for all of healthcare or mental health care. Although I have thoughts about both, but we're not going to do that right now. Um, and that like that shift that gives them their power back and allows them to take maybe whatever skill they did learn and go forward with it, very important. But a lot of what I do is telling people the fact that you're witnessing how everything is bull, the fact that what's going on in society feels off to you right now, that you do feel sleepless and restless, that it is hard to carry on like everything is normal, um, that you want to do something different, that you want to pop out, pop off, actually, yeah, pop out. You know, you could have some. I won't get into that. uh, that you want to and need to rebel. Yeah, you're okay. If you need to rebel, you're okay. There are safe ways to do that. There are people who can support you through that process. Hopefully, you find them in community. And if you don't, find a talented practitioner. I use that word very specifically because licensure keeps you safe, usually, but having a clinician that is talented for your specific needs and who really sees you and witnesses you. And everything that I've been saying about what happened in that play, that is how you get through it. That is how you are okay. Yeah. And also, thank you, Duran Bernard, for that song. My God. Everybody go listen to the album immediately. Immediately. Okay. Yes, the sun is sunning differently now. Um, Same day, I just finished client sessions and had to circle back because some synchronicities came up during the client sessions, literally about this conversation. And I would be remiss if I didn't clarify this specific point, which is it is very uncomfortable to say, woe is me, I'm pretty, please see the rest of me. So no one ever says that. But for people who have been, we'll say, genetically gifted, it's a privilege. Uh, People do treat them differently with how they move to the world. But one of the ways in which they're treated differently is people often think that they're unlikely to have developed their personality. It's a way that people feel safer around someone. But in doing that, it can be an erasure of their humanity, um, or the things they've really been through, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So when you give someone a compliment, can we all give compliments about that relate to the work they put into something, and are super surfacey? And I'm saying that because the internet's been really surfacey about this one. And I will be honest, like I met him at the stage door and I also didn't give a full compliment. I was doing a thing that I do where I try to make space for other people. And I thought he'd been out there for too long and I wanted people to finish. Lo and behold, it would not have taken me much more time to say the compliment. So here we go. Uh, it was a tremendous work. It made me feel seen in ways I didn't expect to. I'm gonna try this again. Um, hmm. So to offer the proper compliment, I would say thank you to the entire cast for creating a collaborative work in which I felt seen and the work that I do in this world feels seen and modeling a way which from the cast interactions that I saw, as well as the interactions that I had with people, I understood that it's about grounding and connection and honing your craft because that's what we're asking for with artistry. But doing that from a place with a very large heart, night after night. So thank you for that. I understand why the run was not indefinite, right? Um, yeah. And that has nothing to do with how people look.